Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Morgan. Today, my guest is Gautam Vasudev, the Senior Vice President of Agentforce Contact Center at Salesforce. In his role, Gautam focuses on how Salesforce customers engage with their end customers in a transforming world of conversational AI, channels, and customer intelligence. Salesforce helps organizations of any size become agentic enterprises, integrating humans, agents, apps, and data on a trusted unified platform to unlock unprecedented growth and innovation. Gautam has over 15 years of experience in the customer service domain and has worked on a variety of technologies from UI frameworks and apps to real-time communication. Please enjoy Gautam Vasudev. Gautam, welcome to the Modern Customer Podcast. It's so nice to see you today, and I believe you're live from San Francisco right now.
I am, and thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
It's so nice to meet you, and we have so much good content to cover today. I did notice that you are one of these rare individuals that has been at one amazing company their whole career. I guess you were at the startup phase of Salesforce, so like one of the founding members almost. So tell us about how you got your start back in 2008.
Oh, great question, and it's taking me down memory lane here. So I joined Salesforce as an intern. I was on the engineering side. I just started looking for opportunities. I was in Carnegie Mellon, and Salesforce happened to be a name that was interesting. There were other students talking about it. So I had a chance to join as an intern. And when I finished it, I think it was so clear that this was the company that I wanted to return to full time. So continued there, and then over time switched from engineering to product management, and just have had the pleasure of growing with the company and some of our amazing products.
Wow, that is really awesome. And if you've been at one company your whole life, you must really love it. I mean, you have to love it. So
I
congrats
do.
on that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a combination of the culture, the people, the space, and now the innovation and time we're in. Salesforce is, I think, right in the center of this agentic revolution, along with so many of the other vendors and companies in the Bay Area.
Absolutely. It's been exciting to watch Salesforce's success and growth and watch it move from CRM to even more now to AI. Now we have a whole new jargon thanks to Salesforce because when I started back in 2005, 2006, we didn't even call it customer experience. We called it CRM. And so Salesforce was one of the movers and shakers to help kind of create this language set to talk about this thing that we're also passionate about, which is about being customer focused. Now, fast forward, they're saying AI is the biggest invention since the invention of the internet. And it's really set to change everything. Customer service and experience is one of the first industries to be disrupted in a major way. Let's talk about Agentforce Contact Center and what you're building. What's your vision for Agentforce? And tell us a little bit more about it for those who might not have heard of it.
Yeah, I would love to. So Agentforce Contact Center is the first CRM native agentic contact center. It truly brings together humans and agents into a whole new solution that is part CCaaS, part CRM, part agent platform, and part data platform. And what it does for customers is really unify into one stack all four of these very significant modules in the enterprise, which means it's faster time to value, easier to deploy, smarter agents, and better human handoffs. And I think that is going to unlock huge benefits for customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Salesforce is one of those companies that so many of my clients use, so many great companies use Salesforce. Now, focusing on AI, it feels like clients really feel confident in their ability to work with Salesforce on AI deployments and Agentforce. Let's talk about how this is different from other contact center solutions on the market. Why should customers make the move to Agentforce Contact Center?
So, do you remember the iPhone announcement that Steve Jobs made back in the day? His question was simple. Do you want three devices in your pocket? A music player, a camera, and a phone? Or do you want one device?
Yeah, not three
And
for sure.
this is the same proposition Salesforce is bringing to market. Customers have typically had a unique CCaaS solution, a unique CRM solution, and then brought these two together. Now we have agentic solutions that are typically sitting on top of these, but the agentic systems also need to really have the right context from data that is either in your CRM or in the enterprise. Salesforce is able to bring all four of these together in Agentforce Contact Center, which means that your agents are smarter, as I mentioned, because your customer data is sitting right next to your engagement and interaction data from the channel. And they know the full context and history of the customer. Because the CCaaS is also now with the CRM, we are hearing customers give us feedback around just how quickly they were able to set up this solution end to end. And that's taking deployments from weeks to hours. This kind of turnaround to get that first ROI on your agentic deployments is amazing.
Yeah, that's a great example of one of the big benefits of AI is just that it cuts time down so much. And one of the things I like to think about and talk about is the promise of AI. It's really a question of how do we want, not just in business, but in all aspects, how do we want to spend our time? And now it's just condensed and shortened the amount of time for so many activities, even training, like you're talking about in the contact center. It's just incredible what AI is doing. Let's talk about how you help leaders ditch what you call fragmented tech, the fragmented tech mess. If you had to describe the benefits for contact center teams, what would they be? And how do we deal with this fragmented tech mess?
So this is a really good point. Salesforce has worked with some amazing vendors in the ecosystem, our telephony partners, our AI partners. The recipe, the great recipe for deploying agents, it comes down to a few things. The first is having the right kind of agents that do the right kind of reasoning, having the right context and data, as I mentioned, and then also handing off to humans when needed so that the end customer has the best experience that your business can possibly express. With Agentforce Contact Center, because your channels are now part of the Salesforce offering and deployment, you can set up these channels very quickly. And as I mentioned, your agents are automatically smarter because they are leveraging the same knowledge base. They're leveraging the same workflow that you've already built into Salesforce for your human reps. So if you'd already built, say, a return process or a customer identification process, you can re-leverage that for your AI agents. Of course, with Agentforce, your AI agents can also operate across multiple channels. So just in that, you have 3 points of fast deployment and acceleration. But it doesn't stop there, because when your AI agents then hand off to a human, it is on the same platform. So your human reps have complete context over the full conversation that the AI agent had. Now you have got a completely seamless journey between automation in channel to human escalation. But once again, it doesn't stop there, because across interactions, we are now bubbling up the top reasons and intent for customers on why they're reaching out to you as a business. So if customers are calling about, say, a return challenge or a technology challenge or billing challenge, you will start seeing those topics bubble up, and you can then address them cohesively. So there's a system of continuous improvement there as well. So I hope you can see how quickly all of these disparate touch points, which would have been served by different applications, can come together on a single platform. And when it does, you start seeing your ROI much faster.
Yeah, and I like that example, that imagery you presented earlier about why would you want an iPod, a phone, and a camera in your pocket? You would only want one system, which I guess is the benefit of being Salesforce because you have so much to offer. You have so many clients, and you can really offer this suite. Let's put a pin in that for a minute and talk about AI in general. What do you see since you work with clients so much and so many different clients? What is the biggest mistake that contact center leaders are making right now when we think about AI?
Oh, this is a very interesting question. I would say the Early adopters certainly saw challenges in just having clear expectations of the technology. I think there was a wave of customers that were first to market and discovered that determinism is a very big deal. Your agents need to answer consistently, and having that consistency is a big part of how you want to design and optimize your agents. And that also includes a high degree of observability. So our Agentforce platform, for example, Agentforce script has just introduced deterministic steps so that your agents answer consistently every single time. We've invested a lot in observability to make sure that you understand where your agents might be tripping up. But in addition to that, there are also moments where you want to make sure that your agents have the right amount of context, the right amount of knowledge that they need to be able to act against to give cohesive and relatable responses. But it doesn't end there. A lot of customers also have given us feedback about how they needed to develop frameworks on which use cases to bring in agents. And that includes whether you want your agents first to start off with conservative use cases like knowledge responses, right? If a customer is asking about store hours, that might be a great use case for an agent. But if a customer is asking about dietary plans for the medication they're using, you might want to be a little more cautious. So designing a risk framework that allows you to choose which use cases you want to drive with agents has become very important. And that framework allows you to then start confidently, really evaluate the agents, and then grow from that base.
Curious if you have seen your clients use these agentic AIs and implement this AI and also continue to grow their teams and to supplement their teams with staff. Because I always think with AI, now you can focus more on white glove customer experience, training, helping customers as you replace and automate some of the interactions. Like, what are you seeing across the board with bringing in AI? Are you seeing mostly just teams like wanting to lay people off, or are they growing? Like, for example, I'll tell you, I know Aramark, they implemented AI, but they did not lay anyone off. They did not fire anyone. So I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, actually, I'll tie this response to your previous question. One of the most popular use cases that we are seeing a lot of traction around is actually deploying assistive reps. So there's, of course, a lot of excitement around AI agents that operate autonomously within the channel in a self-service style scenario. But one of our fastest growing businesses is actually around AI agents supporting human reps in their desktop. And we find a lot of businesses leaning heavily into that because it's the most kind of controlled and immediate ROI use cases that they can drive.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, like this is taking off. We are seeing that a lot of businesses are finding faster onboarding, more productivity, higher quality with their human reps. And because that's driving efficiency for the rep pool, reps are taking on new roles. So we are also seeing role evolution. I think it's a really exciting time for folks in the industry that are leveraging these AI tools. And we're really seeing like role evolution as where the industry will head to.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And I'm sure those interactions are much improved because it just cuts down basically the amount of things that can go wrong in the agent or interaction with the customer. So you're really empowering the
Absolutely.
agent.
Yeah, when you think of a new service rep, it's their first week on the job. How amazing it is to have uh, an agentic assistant that makes you feel like you're a tier three rep, that makes you feel like you're a seasoned rep that knows all of the latest policies and all of the products and answer confidently.
Yeah. And that is a great experience for the customer because there's nothing worse for a customer than being even in a store or on the phone and the person working on the other end says, "Oh, please be patient. I'm new." And then the customer says,
Exactly.
"Oh, I know what I'm
Exactly.
in for." Like, yeah, if you can just not miss a beat and continue to serve quickly and efficiently, that's beautiful. That's the best marketing money can't buy, as I like to say. Gotham, why has it taken the industry so long to unify voice, traditional CCaaS capabilities, and CRM? Why is Salesforce doing this now?
I will say one thing about the voice space. This is a space that has traditionally had a lot of regulation and compliance needs. And you can see some great vendors in the ecosystem and their journey to growth and scale. One common aspect across them all is it takes time to really mature a voice offering, a CCaaS offering. These are really complex mission critical systems. And for Salesforce, we actually started this journey in the background a little while ago. But part of the reason we did so, we took this really strategic decision, was that to achieve the best expression of voice agents, you need the lowest latency with direct access to the voice stream. And to be able to manipulate the voice stream in terms of the response of the agent, how they respond, and how they understand when the customer has stopped speaking or when to interrupt the customer. And to achieve all of these things, as I mentioned, we just needed direct access to the voice call and stream itself. And we made this decision that we wanted to be the leaders in this space, hence the investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. There's such an opportunity right now. It just feels like, even from my view, as a researcher, as a podcaster, as a speaker, journalist, there's just so much excitement right now because we're taking an industry that has largely been a little dysfunctional. I mean, customer service companies often don't want to pay for it. And then the service is just not great. So now we finally have the technology to be able to scale to provide that one-to-one interaction we've been talking about for 20 years. And it's an exciting time. Gotham, there have been times when you and I have both been trapped in contact center loops as customers where we have to repeat our issue to 3 different service reps. How does Agentforce Contact Center finally break that cycle for customers?
Look, agents are amazing, but they're not perfect. And when you bring together your agentic system, your channels, and CCaaS solution, and your CRM, what's happening in the background? When the agent escalates to a human, that rep in Salesforce has complete context of what happened in the agentic leg of the engagement. If for some reason you then need to be transferred again, in Salesforce, it's the same call, it's the same chat session, it's the same SMS. Our CCaaS is multi-channel. So not only are we trying very hard to avoid a rep asking you again, can you repeat your issue? We're trying to do it across every channel. So if you reached out on text, or you had a chat, or you had a phone call, Salesforce is looking to present reps with the complete engagement history, which is going to drive down this kind of repeated issue qualification very significantly. We're also doing that across departments, which means that your sales rep will know that you just had a service touchpoint. Your field service technician will have the full background of why you called the contact center. Maybe it was an appliance fix and the technician is coming over. They'll have all your details. So we're really working hard to make sure that every persona in the enterprise has good, rich, and summarized context so that they know what's most important without having to dig through all the details as well.
I love that. And I think it just speaks to the advances in technology that now customers don't have to work so hard. They want you to know them. Let's move on. Let's talk about the agentic AI capabilities and use cases for the platform. Can you walk us through some examples?
Yeah, by industry, this can vary quite a bit. So, two principles that I would ask listeners to drive from. The first is definitely think about that risk framework for your organization. A lot of knowledge based inquiries can be great use cases for AI agents, like your 80% use case of, hey, what are the timings for this store? Where is my order? Etc. Beyond those knowledge use cases, you start getting into action use cases where you might say, hey, I want to change my shipping address. So these are more empowerment for the agent. And as you go through the spectrum of finding success on your one use case and then growing in from good to great in your future use cases, you will find yourself going more from knowledge to actionability and complete self-service. And there, the risk framework becomes important. Now, the other dimension that listeners should think about is this varies quite a bit by your industry. Healthcare use cases, what are low risk scenarios, might look very different from fins and retail, manufacturing, software, etc. So, for example, in software, a simpler action-oriented use case might be reset password because those processes already exist. So being able to use and leverage actions that already exist within the enterprise and surface them through agentic conversations is another great way to get started. These all constitute, these great use cases that you can start with. And typically you'll find that these are already use cases that you've automated to some degree. And now you're exposing them on a new surface, which just happens to be agentic and conversational.
Yeah, I love that. Agentic and conversational AI is the biggest topic that I'm hearing about in the space right now. Let's talk about Agentforce Contact Center and how it changes the way a supervisor manages their team.
Yeah, this is a topic near and dear to my heart because I mentioned role evolution. We are definitely finding supervisors at the heart of this transformation. When AI agents are handling more conversations, you need the confidence to deploy them, and you need to know that your AI agents have the ability to course correct. And when they can't, you need to know that your supervisors have the ability to course correct. So with Agentforce Contact Center, agents first can raise a flag to grab the attention of a supervisor when things are not going right. That is one immediate way in which we work to give customers the confidence that their AI agents are working great on any channel. But in addition, supervisors with Agentforce Contact Center can observe every part of the conversation, whether it's with agents or with human reps. And then they can orchestrate the conversations with more traditional CCaaS capabilities like transfer or barge, etc. That becomes really important because when you're managing the end-to-end, you want to know from all of the different interactions that your reps might be looking at, which one do you as a supervisor want to focus on? So having those guardrails, having the ability for AI agents to raise a flag or attract the attention of a supervisor has become really important. And it's something unique that Salesforce has been able to drive because for us, the same supervisor is looking at AI agents and human reps. And I'll end with this. Because Agentforce is such a great platform, our supervisors can very quickly go from finding a scenario where an agent couldn't perform to then tagging that and letting the agent designer actually go and observe that within our Agentforce studio, review the recording or review the session, go and tweak and fix, and then redeploy. So there's a great closed loop for improvement there as well.
That's awesome. That's really great. Let's talk about your pilot customers. We can always learn from our early super users of our products. What have you learned from your pilot customers?
I am just amazed at how quickly they were able to move, and the feedback they've given to us has really driven that home. We started with a set of customers that we knew were excited about our solution. But what we were all surprised at is how quickly they were able to set it up, because it starts with the same basic steps. They quickly procured a number from Salesforce. This is your 1-800 number or your 10-digit long code number. And once they had the number, they were able to point it to a routing rule or an IVR flow in Salesforce. And this is your more traditional press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish. But they were also able to attach an Agentforce agent to it, a voice agent, and then actually start testing that. This was happening in a matter of hours without any SIs, without any partners in the mix. That caught us a little off guard. We knew that we had the elements here, but seeing customers go through that was just a great moment. Of course, as customers now start deploying in production, we are bringing the whole ecosystem behind these customers, including our own product teams, our professional services teams, our partner teams, our support teams, just to make sure that these customers are wildly successful. and we are seeing early signal about that as well. Remember, I mentioned Agentforce Contact Center. We really want it to be the best voice experience across the board. And I'm glad to say we are starting to see that signaling, as I mentioned.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Gotham. How should companies measure the success of Agentforce?
That's a great question. I'll extend it specifically to Agentforce Contact Center because when we talk about Agentforce as a platform, it can serve so many use cases, including as a sales BDR, for message personalization in a marketing context, etc. But in the context of service, the thing to remember is that your service metrics are so enduring. So your cost to serve, your revenue impact, and your CSAT. These are still the drivers that a lot of service businesses need to focus on. Now, what's changing there is that service is becoming pervasive across the customer journey. Whether it's pre-sale, where a customer might just have an inquiry about a product, or it's post-sale, where they've just purchased a product and they're going through an onboarding and they might have a question. So we're finding that these service moments live everywhere in the customer journey. And you want to be where the customer is at. The KPIs that you want to drive with, once again, keep in mind the notion of how do you drive cost down, cost reduction, how do you drive revenue up, and then how do you drive a great CSAT experience. Now, I started with this because I wanted to lay that out as the framework with which you will also measure your agentic deployment and your human reps. Ultimately, you want to make sure that customers had a quick, fast, satisfactory resolution experience. You want to make sure that if containment wasn't possible, your agents escalated to humans with full context, with a seamless handoff. And finally, you want to make sure that your human reps were equipped to answer the question in the right way. Beyond that, you also want to make sure that all interactions are then generating for you the voice of the customer, so you know where you might have automation gaps. And when you put all of these three together, I think what we find is a lot of customers, they might have agent-specific metrics they want to look at, like containment, etc. But it still is built on top of business drivers like the three that I mentioned to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Some of the metrics that we use, I mean, they still matter, but it's exciting to see that I'm sure the metrics will change over time too, as we use AI to deal with more of the minutia of customer service, and we could focus more on the things that we really want to be doing and even
Yeah.
bettering the lives of our customers and our employees. Let's close with this last question. This launch is the next chapter for Agentforce service. What else should we be looking forward to on the contact center front following the external March 10th launch of yours?
I am very excited about, through the year, adding more and more capabilities to our Agentforce contact center solution, including more workforce management capabilities, quality management capabilities that then expand into both post-call quality management and real-time quality management. We are also checking the box on more traditional capabilities, things like screen recording and campaign dialing, etc. And then a big part of our focus is also international. How are we driving the ability for international customers to leverage the solution through modalities like bring your own carrier? Yeah. And I think your point earlier was so well made. As we start deploying these solutions, we do find customers trying to shift their focus from cost to serve to truly driving CSAT.
Mm-hmm.
And driving CSAT as the overarching metric requires you to bring in all of these elements, happy reps, smart agents, great quality management, etc.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really excited for you. This is all good things. And AI is just, it's such an interesting time to be studying customer experience and to be building technologies that make people's lives easier and better. Gautam, thank you so much for stopping by the Modern Customer. I really appreciate you being here, and it's nice to see you today.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. This was a pleasure.
Well, you have all been tuning in to the Modern Customer Podcast. Check out Salesforce's Agentforce Contact Center product. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like or subscribe and follow my social content on other platforms where I post content daily, including X, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and more.